Hey everyone, Kevin here. Just stopped and charging. I'm coming home from Las Vegas from the 2023 annual advisory board meetings for WGI. And this is the weekend where everyone in the activity that is a member of the advisory board, and anyone can come, but really it's for the advisory board members, which are all the world-class finalists and the top 5 in every other class of competition. They all come together and people submit proposals, we discuss, we talk about them, we vote on them, and we also had time for open discussion. And then the other thing that we do during that weekend is vote in steering committee reps and board of director representatives. And so this weekend, really the big topics were a couple different proposals. One of them involving interval times for the 3 different classes, A, Open, and World. And originally the minimum time was 4 minutes across all 3 divisions, even though we have all 3 classes, excuse me, even though each class has a maximum time interval time that is tiered, right? So A is 9 minutes, Open 10 minutes, and World Class 11 minutes. And so we had a bunch of discussion, and we realized that early season A class group has to provide significantly more percent of their complete program than a world class group does to avoid that penalty. And it's maybe not conducive or fair that we have this tiered interval time, but we don't have a tiered minimum performance time. And we also talked through different parts of that, which is, what is the reason for that minimum performance time? Is it for encouraging people to have more show out early season or incentivizing that? Or is it to protect the audience experience and really trying to say, well, is 4 minutes is really the minimum for a complete thought, and anything less than that is not really worth it for a paying audience member from a complete thought, complete idea standpoint. So there's a lot of great discussion on that. Ultimately, that was voted in and passed. It passed pretty unanimously, I believe. Either 50-0 or 49-0, 49-1, something like that. So there's that. So that one passed. So that's basically now A class has a 3-minute minimum. Open class has 3-minute and 30-second minimum, and world class has a 4-minute minimum. And so that will be in effect in 2024. So if you are planning your programs, you can now talk to your students if you're in A class and say, look, we really want to hit that goal of 3 minutes out on that floor before the first program, at the first show, so that we can really avoid the penalty, put our best foot forward, and just get a really good read on what we have. You don't have to necessarily feel like you have to scramble to get all 4-5 minutes out, however long your program is, and make it a stressful environment for your students. So so there's that rule, the proposal that was passed. Then we had the sampling rule, right? 4.2.1 had an adjustment, and basically allowing for all vocals to that are lyrics or sung to be one-shot triggers, if you would want to trigger them that way. Previously, the rule was that every lyric must be, if it's musically achieved, right, like that has like pitch and is basically sung, well, that has to be chopped by word. And I think a lot of the rationale and justification for that is it's just so proliferated, the activity now, that it's not really, the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? Like efforts that we put into that part of it is not necessarily really rewarded by the activity. It's similar to whether you have a painted floor or a digitally printed floor, you're not necessarily getting like achievement credit for your floor or your props or your costumes, but what they are doing is adding depth to your overall package, adding nuance to the universe that you're bringing to the table. And so the sentiment was that vocals, like especially singing and narration and singing, are in that same camp. It's kind of a gestural identity, universe building thing, and it's not necessarily, I think we've just evolved to a point where we don't need to chop those up, and every group can have the freedom to chop those as they wish. And you can continue to chop by word if that makes sense. And the reality is you probably shouldn't strategically be using super long phrases, because with one trigger and let's say 8 measures of vocals go by, if that first initial initiation is off by just a little bit, now you're going to have 8 measures of unrecoverable tear with the music. So the reality is, like, the way that I'll probably strategize is I'll do little phrases that make sense, that have like a natural pause in them, and then require a retrigger, so that the performer can still make sure that even if there's a slight performance discrepancy, the time to recovery is pretty quick, right? But what hopefully it will do is just save a ton of time for both designer and performer, and also create a better environment and experience for the audience member. So there's the 4.2.1 rule. And the third one that passed, I don't know why, I can't remember. I'll have to look that one up. Maybe someone in the comments can put that down, so we'll figure out what that one was. Let me think about this. Third one that passed, the concert sheet. I think the concert sheet, I don't know if it was withdrawn. I don't know, I'll have to look. But there was a third proposal that was passed. I don't know why, I'm blanking. Maybe from the long Vegas drive. So so that's the recap of the weekend. If you have never been to the advisory board, I highly recommend that you check it out. You come on out. It's open to anybody. You can register and come. If you are an advisory board member for the year, right? So if you are finalist in world class, or if you're in the top 5 of any of the divisions at world championships, WGI does pay the way of your ensemble's representative to be there. So this year was 1 night of hotel and your airfare. Next year it'll be 2 nights of hotel and the airfare. So definitely, if you are someone that could be eligible to come next year, I would highly recommend coming next year. And then the final kind of update from that weekend was a little bit of a shared venture between DCI and WGI for participant protection. There's going to be a lot more news on that coming out in the coming months and years, but just be on the lookout for an initiative and a partnership between the 2 organizations to kind of streamline and make things a little bit more simple for the community. Even though this is going to be a new thing that everyone's going to have to kind of get on board with, it will eventually make everyone's life a little bit easier in terms of managing reports and participant protection, and it will create an independent organization to help manage that, much like Safe Sport is to sports entities under the Olympics. So be on the lookout for that. There's be much more information forthcoming, and I think that's it. I would love to hear any comments from anyone that was there this weekend. Put it in the chat. Let me know if there's anything that you took away from that weekend, of any points of insight, any strategies or points of inspiration that you had from the weekend, from the discussion. There was a lot of time that we were able to dig into each different caption, music, visual, effect, and have a little bit of discussion and be able to ask and talk about the adjudication system, hear from the judge admin, which is Mark Thurston, the director of percussion, Caleb Rothy, the education director for WGI Percussion, and then Chris Heston, who's the judge director of adjudication. And so we got a chance to interface with everybody. There were steering committee elections and board of director elections. I was blessed to be elected to the board of directors again, so I'm thrilled to continue to serve for all of you. So yeah, feel free, as a representative on the steering committee and the board of directors, feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions about the judging system, classification, the business of WGI, the way that you can get on the board or steering committee, what are the initiatives that WGI are doing, and I'll be happy to share what I can and be a voice for all of you. So again, happy Sunday, cheers. Looking forward to heading out to Drum Corps again on Monday, tomorrow. So I'll be on the road with Carolina Crown for the next 3 weeks. So I'm hoping to make a ton more content on the road with Drum Corps to kind of share that journey. It's been a few years, been kind of get back into that. So hoping to share a lot more snippets, a little bit of behind the scenes feedback and strategy and design considerations. Maybe get a chance to meet some of our membership. yeah, just get that behind the scenes sneak peek that I try to build. So any suggestions or ideas or requests on that front, go ahead and let me know, and I'll do my best to make some of those things happen. So thank you everybody for being a part of this community, and I'll see you soon.